We are here with the CEO and founder of Gymshark, who's also Britain's youngest self-made billionaire. You went from selling and delivering pizzas now to building one of the fastest growing companies, at one point the fastest growing company in the UK. I know you've addressed this, but how did you decide, okay, I'm gonna put the only 1,000 pounds I have into this business and keep going, and you stuck with it through a lot of upheaval?
I mean, starting the business, it was just my dream to be involved in the gym, and then to be able to make build a business in health and fitness was just like a dream come true for me. So I just really enjoyed it from day one. And then starting the business, we literally handmade the clothes for the first couple of years. So that's what that money was spent on: screen printers, sewing machines, and just handmade the clothes at the start.
I think so many people would think they would get tired of it. You know, they would think, why did I quit university? Why am I doing this? What made you decide you wanted to stay in the game and persevere through those first couple of years?
I think, again, just passion for the business. So growing up, I absolutely fell in love with the gym when I was about 16 years old, just because it was the first time in my life that I felt like I was really getting out of it what I was putting in. And I knew that if I went to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, every week for the year, at the end of the year, I would have, I'll be in a better position than at the start. So at a young age, I completely fell in love with the gym. And as the business started and as the business grew, being able to be involved in the gym in my work life was amazing. Then obviously all of my friends, or a lot of my friends, ended up working within the business, which was great for me and was really enjoyable. Traveling the world, coming to places like New York and the US. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been great fun. And to this day, I feel like I've got the best job in the world.
Yeah, well, you've created it for yourself too, so that helps. Yeah, and you're certainly an evangelist for the gym. I mean, do you have a philosophy around fitness and how you want to live your life and stay active?
Yeah, again, so for me, I feel like, again, I'll speak on behalf of myself here, for my mental health and my physical health are so intertwined with being in the gym. If I'm feeling a bit stressed or down or whatever, it generally is because I'm not in the gym and I haven't got that balance. So yeah, again, to be able to take that through into my work life and be able to do something I'm really passionate about is wonderful.
You were also very early into the drop shipping, influencer marketing, a lot of these things that ended up being really lucrative and significant in the business world the last 10 years. What kind of tipped you off or made you think this is really where I want to invest? This is how I want to grow my business?
So I think first and foremost, when we started the business, it was a very different world in the sense that it was 2012, e-commerce businesses were just sort of starting up. People didn't really work with sort of influencers in the same way that they do now. Shopify, companies like Shopify were just sort of, starting to grow and become more popular. So it was a very, very different world. And prior to Gymshark, I'd made multiple different businesses, all of which, essentially ended up failing. So I got to the point where I wanted to make a business that would sell something. Before, it was sort of like a social network or a forum or something else, or an iPhone app. So for me, it was more just the idea of being involved in fitness and selling something. So that's what sort of started it off. Now, when we'd made that website and when we were able to sell something, I actually remember I went to one of my friends who worked at a supplement business, and I said, I need to buy some products because I want to sell that product on my website. He was like, fine, don't worry, I can do you a sort of a favour, a mates rates thing. And he came back and he said, right, the cheapest order I can get for you is £10,000. Now, I'd never heard of £10,000, let alone had £10,000. So I realised very quickly we wouldn't be able to buy inventory to then sell on our website. And that's where I think just, going online and searching things, I sort of found out about drop shipping. And that was great for us because it meant we could have our first sale, sell our first product online. Sold our first product in 2012. It was £50. I think we made about £2 profit. And I remember being a kid, just being so over the moon and so happy with that sale. But it was quite obvious at that point that then wouldn't, grow into a reasonable business sort of thing. So that was when we moved from drop shipping into making the clothes, at home to sell online.
Do you think, because you were so young when you started this, do you think you sort of brought almost this optimism that you could only have when you're young to the business? You had very much a mindset of, let's just solve all these problems, let's work through it, whereas I think a lot of people, particularly people who've been in the business world, would sort of get sort of turned off by that.
A bit more nervous, yeah. There's definitely a piece of that. My first ever job, the first ever job that I did, I think I was about 14, and I worked with my granddad, and we would go around the UK and we would line furnaces. So we'd line furnaces with brick or ceramic fibre, and that was really, really hard work. It was physically hard work and it was long hours, but I learned so much from him, and he told me about starting his businesses, the risks that he had to take, He almost lost the house where my mum, my nan and her sister were living. And so hearing all those stories as a young kid at like 14 years old, when I then fast forward to being 17, 18 years old, starting my own business, it never really felt like it was a big risk, because when I was comparing the risk that I was taking to the risk that he took. So I think for me, that gave me really great perspective. And then, yeah, for me, then just being able to work on something I was really passionate about, from then on, it just led to Gymshark.
That's an interesting perspective, that you kind of knew being an entrepreneur means that you're inevitably going to face these challenges and potentially fail.
Yeah, and then again, going back to those failures before Gymshark, 7 businesses I started, they all failed before Gymshark. I think Gymshark was the 8th or 9th business that I'd started.
What were those 7 businesses that you started?
There was 2 or 3 iPhone apps, there was a couple of different websites, there was one in the UK that would sell online registration plates. So in the UK you can have personalised car registration plates, so we sold some of those. And those didn't work out, but they led to Gymshark, and the learnings from them led to me starting Gymshark.
I want to get back to what you were saying in terms of building out a community, influencer marketing.
Yeah.
Was that something that you thought, okay, this is the next big thing, this is how people are going to be marketing products, or is it more that you yourself were consuming media and being sold on products?
Yeah, no, I think, so we were at the perfect age where so when I was getting into the gym, all the people I learned the most from were online on YouTube. So I, to your point, sort of consumed that media. It wasn't a strategy as such, it was just really natural to us, because that's where we were watching videos and things. So when Gymshark started, we ended up sending product to a few of my heroes at the time that were on YouTube. And again, it was a very different place back then, right? I think the biggest YouTuber in fitness at the time had about 20,000 subscribers, which in today's day and age is tiny. Sent some product out to them, and we ended up on what was Skype, talking to each other and getting feedback on the product. And then they ended up joining the Gymshark team, and then sort of being a part of the influencer athlete team. So yeah, no, it wasn't a sort of a big strategy, it was just something that naturally occurred at the time.
I like this person, I want them to try out my product and give me feedback. And you hitched your wagon clearly to some people who ended up just ballooning.
Yeah, exactly.
On the internet. And how has it been? I mean, you hear some sort of horror stories, you don't have to divulge too much, but it can be difficult, obviously, bringing these people into your company, because influencers have their own perspective, they have their own way of working. How have you navigated that? And you work with a lot of different influencers.
Yeah, it's been a natural and slow growth over the last 12, 13 years for us. So on the whole, it's been absolutely brilliant for us. And I think for us, what we want to do is bring people on that really align with what we want to achieve as a brand. People that are inspiring people to, be the best version of themselves, get into fitness and become stronger or faster, whatever it is that they want to do. So for us, we've had a great time, and we've worked with, to your point, lots of influencers over the years.
How many?
I don't know how many over the years.
Thousands?
I mean, it probably wouldn't be far. It would certainly be in the many, many hundreds. And yeah, on the whole, it's been absolutely brilliant. And now for us, we've got a really, really great team who are all really invested in the success of the brand. So it works really well.
Interesting. Yeah, so you have a lot of stakeholders because you've brought those people in.
Yeah, and it's people from with all different aims. So as an example, Chris Bumstead, who is the best bodybuilder in the world, possibly the best bodybuilder of our generation, is a Gymshark athlete, and he's so invested in the brand, and he supports us, and he'll be at events. He obviously loves the product, he contributes to the product, and having people like Chris on the team is so great for us. But then equally, we'll have other people that will be more, going for a more functional level of fitness, or something that just tends to aid their lifestyle. So there's all different varying sort of levels in the team, and lots of people have their own individual goals. But for us, it's all about getting as many people into fitness as possible.
Did you give them a piece of equity, or how did you get them to have such a vested interest in the success?
Yeah, so it varies. So Chris, for example, is a shareholder. Again, he's a generational talent, and he's someone that's been around the brand for many, many years, whereas some don't. Some it'll be varied sort of lengths of contracts and things like that. But yeah, Chris is a shareholder of the business.
You were obviously very early to influencer marketing.
Yeah.
You're still leading on that. But as you think about what's next for how people are going to buy products, how you want to be marketing, selling what you're doing, what do you think is next in that landscape?
Well, I can speak for us. So we've been pretty much exclusively an online business for our entire history. We've done events, and we've got a couple of stores in the UK, but I think there's a big opportunity for us to be more visible sort of offline, especially in countries like the US. I think having more stores, such as the one we're sat in today, is a huge opportunity for us. just because pretty much all of our business is online at the moment.
Interesting. So you think reaching people where they are, having physical brick and mortar stores is actually sort of a new and different way to reach people then?
For us, obviously not compared to what a lot of other people do, but for us it absolutely is. And because we're an online business, it's been hard for us to get our product that we're really proud of in the hands of our customers. And I think by having more brick and mortar sort of locations, more people will be able to see and feel the Gymshark product and hopefully get involved with the brand.
And you've been around, again, over a decade, and we see in the fitness space, we see certain brands kind of ebb and flow. There's peaks and valleys. Lululemon was really hot, and then they've struggled. Alo Yoga, there's all of these different brands competing for the same market. How are you thinking about evolving and meeting new demands and always bringing new products? Do you focus on trends, or do you just want to deliver the same consistent product?
Yeah, so the way that that we think about brand is, for me, it's really important that we do one thing really, really well. So what we don't want to be is we don't want to be a brand that sort of overstretches, overreaches and does too much. We want to be a brand that produces the best gym wear in the world. And at our absolute core, that's what we have to do. And there's loads of brands around the world that I really, really admire. Now, one of the brands that I admire, which I'm hoping you've heard of, is Land Rover. I think Land Rover,
heard of them.
They're literally, they built the Land Rovers where sort of I and we grew up, over the road from our offices in the UK. And one of the things that I really admire about Land Rover is when they were founded in the late 1940s, they built the best off-roaders ever made. So much so that there are people around the world, the first vehicle they ever saw was a Land Rover because it was the only car that could get to where they were. Now, fast forward to today, some of the best off-roaders in the world are built by Land Rover. And I love that red thread that has flown through the entire history of their business. Now, lots of people that buy Land Rovers don't take them off-road, but they buy it because it has the DNA and the authenticity built in the off-roaders. For me, when I think about Gymshark, I want to make sure that we build the best gym wear in the world. And I know that some people will be a Chris Bumstead and they'll go on to be the best bodybuilders in the world. Some people will just want to go to the gym once or twice a month because it helps with their physical and mental health. But at its core, if we're the best producer of gym wear in the world, then I think that in the long term is going to be the right thing for us to do. And so for me, it's all about just being the best in a really narrow space and then building our brand and making sure that it's available globally to people that want to buy into the gym.
As we're filming this, we have our amazing New York Post cameras, but we also have Gymshark cameras here recording it. How do you think about your role in terms of managing this company, but also focusing on content creation and advertising, and how do you split up your time?
No, so I don't spend too much time on content really, and I think what we try to do is try and, I guess, wind it into the general working day. 99% of my time is genuinely spent on just running the business, whether it's generally working with the product team, working with the exec team, and then content then just becomes part of it as we sort of tell that story. And it's funny actually, because social media is never anything that I personally wanted to do. I never really posted any of the Gymshark story from my perspective on social media. We had specifically sort of Gymshark accounts. And then we were doing an event in Dublin actually, and there was a lad that came up to me who was doing his dissertation on a business that he really loved, and he was writing his dissertation on Gymshark. And he came up to me and he said, Ben, I've read all these articles and they all say different things. I don't really know what happened in the Gymshark story. Would you be able to do a video on it for me? So I sort of thought, yeah, why not? I'll give it a go. I recorded my first YouTube video and it was absolutely terrible. I had to delete it. I was just so nervous. I just struggled so much in front of the cameras. So then did another one, put it on YouTube and sent it to the lad and he loved it. He was really happy and then the video did really well on YouTube. So it was more from there that then I started posting more on social media and telling that sort of story. And the feedback and the reaction has been brilliant. And I think it seems to be that more people nowadays are interested in a behind the scenes of the business, especially when they're putting their hard-earned money on the line to purchase with a business or a brand. They want to know who's behind the scenes, who's running it, and what the story is behind it.
Yeah, and it seems like that's so much of what has kept you relevant as well, as you're hosting events. I know you mentioned you're hosting a big event in Miami, you're going to Dubai, you're sort of community building as well as creating new products.
Yeah, and that's really great for me to hear as well, because going back to the start, when I first got into fitness as a young teenager, that community was so important to me, because the gym is an intimidating place, and it's an intimidating place when you're young, and especially when you don't know what you're doing. You sort of go into a gym and you asking yourself, am I doing this right? You feel like everyone's looking at you. In reality, they're not. They're all worried about themselves. But that community, I think, around Gymshark helps give people confidence, and people can learn about, how to do different exercises, and, they can be inspired by, again, people like Chris in terms of who they want to be. And yeah, for me, that's great. And I think the community at Gymshark is certainly one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah, and you've it's clothing, it's community, it's an app. Where do you see expanding next?
Well, in the US, I think there's a great opportunity here. The US is the biggest fitness market in the world. It's already around half of our business. And again, I think the opportunity out here for us is huge. I love spending time here. So I think the more that we can do in the US, the better. But then also there's a great opportunity for us internationally as well. So like you just mentioned, we've got our first store in the Dubai Mall opening next week, which I'm really looking forward to. But if you said to me, where's our key focus, it has to be on the US.
Huh, interesting. And have you found differences trying to market and operate here in New York and the US generally as opposed to in Britain?
No, I think the influences in fitness between the US and the UK are very similar, and there's a lot of Brits that follow Americans and vice versa. And I think because the brand, we've been doing events in the US now for well over 10 years, the brand has very much been built in the United States. So, there are a lot of people back in the UK that just think it's an American brand, and they'll meet me and I'll tell them about it, and they'll be surprised that it's not an American brand. So, no, I think again the opportunity out here for us is absolutely massive, and this is where we're going to be focusing our time and our energy.
Okay, interesting. Just because the sheer number of people, or do you notice that Americans have more money, or what is it that makes this such an important market?
Well, I think, again, like if you think about the biggest names in fitness, they're generally in the US. My dream is for this to be a 100-year brand. I want this brand to last longer than I do. And many of, if not, the vast majority of the biggest and best brands in the world are built out of the United States.
Yeah.
And I think for us, we have to be successful in the US in order for us to be successful around the world.
What about you're wearing some barefoot sneakers?
Yeah.
Do you think that you're gonna get into shoes? Do you think you're gonna expand the brand to touch new areas?
I'd certainly like to at the moment. I think for us going from an e-commerce brand to having stores and being more available offline, that's the current focus now, whilst also really nailing building the best quality product that we possibly can. That's what I really want to focus on. And then I think as we expand our stores, then I think that's when I'd start to look at different products like footwear and so on.
So what makes this product, this range, unique, and how has it evolved over the years too? I'm curious.
So this is our best-selling women's range. So this is the Gymshark Vital range. So this is seamless. Now this is something that again we sort of fell upon about 10 years ago. Now what seamless means, it means it's sort of knitted in a tube rather than sort of generally with apparel. What you do is you'd sort of you'd cut out different fabrics and then you'd sort of like sew them all together. This is actually knit in a tube.
Fascinating.
And people love this because it's really, really comfortable, but it's it's sort of like more compressive than most of the leggings.
Yes.
Obviously being high-waisted, and we do lots of different variations of the Vital, different lengths, flares and so on. But generally the black legging is what people love the most because it just performs really, really well in the gym. It's sweat wicking, it looks absolutely great on, and it's super, super comfortable. And I think we launched this about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's been our #1 bestseller ever since.
And has the design and everything remained consistent?
The design's been fairly consistent. I think we only changed it slightly once. There were some slight amendments that we made to the material itself and the way that we dye it. But no, the design's been consistent throughout. And again, I think it's just the reason that people love it is, aside from being super comfortable, it's just a very, very simple, well-made legging.
Were you the first to create this where it's knit inside of a...
In seamless. No, we weren't the first. Okay. But again, we just sort of fell upon it, and we were looking at building a product that has this sort of jacquarded in, so it will accentuate your physique basically. It will make you look and feel great. And it was one of the manufacturers that we work with suggested that we try seamless. And then even to this day now, so many of our products are built through seamless, and we work directly with Santoni, who produce the machines out of Italy, and we work on building the best seamless product in the world.
Are these made in Italy?
These aren't made in Italy. The machines are made in Italy, and then we obviously then take those machines around the world and produce in varying locations depending on where we're going to sell it.
So So you said this is one of your favorite products for men.
Yes, so I love this, and again, this is one of our best-selling products in terms of our men's range. And to be honest, it's fairly simple. It's literally just a throw-over hoodie. It's super comfortable. It's got Gymshark across the back, so again, it sort of makes your back look bigger than it actually is, which a lot of guys like. And yeah, it's just a simple sweat hoodie. And again, it's just something that we launched again about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's just been a bestseller ever since. So it's not like super technical, it's just a general sweat hoodie.
You find it's the simple products that do well, and because of the brand and the community around it, people
definitely
are excited
over the long
about
run.
it.
And again, it's sort of like tapered at the waist slightly, having Gymshark across the back, across the top of the back. It'll give you more of that sort of V shape. But yeah, generally in terms of the best sellers, it's the really simple products that people can wear time and time again.
Interesting. And are you launching new designs constantly, or is it just again focusing on some of the basics?
So we'll have like basics like this, which will just be again quintessential go-tos. But then we'll be constantly. So we launched a really nice new running range last week, and then we'll always be innovating in seamless. So we've got a lot of really cool seamless product in men's as well. Vital, which I just showed you, goes across to the men's range as well. So I'll wear Vital every single day. So yeah, it's a really varied range, but ultimately it's all focused on building the best gym wear that we possibly can, and then generally trying to accentuate the physique as well.
And in terms of price point too, it seems like it's more affordable than a Lululemon or another Aloe or brands that are sort of known for offering high-end products.
So if you think, when the brand first started, we couldn't afford really expensive clothes, and it was really important to me that the brand continues to resonate with the core customer that it did 12, 13 years ago when it first started. So what we want to do is make sure that our price points are accessible. We want to create the best quality product that we possibly can, and I'm really proud of the product that we make, but we have to make sure that it's accessible to that young kid that's just getting into the gym for the first time, wants to buy their first Gymshark hoodie or leggings or whatever it is, and making sure that price point is accessible to them and it's not too expensive.
I want to address the financials, because General Atlantic, one of the most prestigious firms in the world, has invested in you. Where are you with financing? Are you looking for more? Are you thinking of going public? What does the future look like for Gymshark on that front?
No, not at the moment. And listen, working with General Atlantic over the last few years has been brilliant. I absolutely love working with them, and it's been great because they have such broad international reach. As we are looking to expand in the US or in places like Dubai, being able to pick up the phone and call people at General Atlantic it's just brilliant for us, and it really helps sort of prevent us from making mistakes that we would make if they weren't there. In terms of financing in the future, no, at the moment we're a private business. It works really well for us. All of our focus right now is on building the best stores that we possibly can. The current plans that we've got, we can finance them all ourselves with the cash that we've got. So no, I think at the moment we're in a really, really great position, and I'm really pleased, to be honest, to be a private business and be able to be as agile as we are.
How many continents do you want to be on in the next few years?
Well, I mean, we want to be a global brand. Like I said, to be a 100-year brand, I think you have to really be global. Now, at the moment, we do well in Europe and we do well in parts of the US, but we have to really expand into the US, into the Middle East. We have to do more in Australia and, again, more Europe itself. So for us, it's all about just growing in a really careful and considered way.
What about your future in New York? What does that look like?
Well, we opened up this pop-up because we really wanted to sort of test it right. So we've never ran anything like this in the US. We've ran stores in the UK, but we haven't done it outside. And this store has been so successful. I've been so happy with it. It closes in the next couple of weeks. All this kit actually will then go out to Miami for our big event. But one of the reasons that I'm here this week as well is because I would absolutely love to have a permanent location here in New York. And again, because of the success of this store and because of the amazing people that have come through the doors every day, it's really given us confidence to now look into that. So yeah, fingers crossed at some point we could be looking at a really nice permanent store in New York.
When do you think that would be?
I think hopefully soon. I think for me, it's all about finding again, we want to build an iconic brand, right? I would really like a really iconic location and somewhere where we can offer a real, broad Gymshark experience, and we can bring more people into the community. We can showcase our products as best as we can, and hopefully have some space to sort of, have areas for fitness or classes and things like that as well. So that's the aim. We just need to make sure that we find the right spot now, and yeah, hopefully we can do that soon.
Maybe we're going to be going to a Gymshark gym in a few years.
That would be really cool, I think. I'd love that.
Let's go.
That's a wrap on today's episode of NYNext. We hope you enjoyed the conversation.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also catch us on the New York Post YouTube channel. And of course, be sure to follow us on social media for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes content. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. Join the conversation and let us know what you think.